Today I review the MCU movie Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, where martial arts master Shang-Chi must confront the past he thought he left behind when he's drawn into the web of the mysterious Ten Rings organization. But before I get started, if you enjoy this review and you want to watch new reviews that I post every Monday and Fridays, like this video and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss anything. So I was really excited to see Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, mainly because I knew the fight scenes were going to be on point. And I'm happy to report that this is some of the best choreographed fight scenes in the MCU so far. The fight scenes in this reminded me a lot of Jackie Chan movies where there's not a lot of cuts during the fight so you can actually see what's going on. And it also helps that the cast know how to throw some nasty kicks. The bus fight scene in the beginning really set the tone for the rest of the movie in terms of action. And a big contributor to that action is Simu Liu as Shang-Chi. Like, he was great as the character. Because for one, he's a legit martial artist. Like, you can tell by watching the fight scenes that you have a guy here that clearly knows what he's doing. But Liu also does a great job of showing the visible burden of Shang-Chi's life and showing how fun of a person he can be when he's happy and relaxed, spending time with friends. He just makes Shang-Chi look like a real person. And I think he's going to be a great character to watch in future MCU movies. And Simu Liu was supported by Awkwafina, who does a great job as the comedic relief in this movie. She plays as Shang-Chi's best friend Katie, and she served her role as the comedic relief by being funny, but the best part about her was that when things got serious, she got serious, so she didn't come off as annoying. Instead of forcing in a joke whenever Shang-Chi told her about his depressing past, she would just sit and listen and empathize with him. And that led to some really sweet moments in this movie. Because usually in the MCU, when things get real, they have to throw in a joke in there to lighten the mood, and it just kills it. But this movie doesn't do that. It lets you feel those emotions, lets you feel the sadness that the characters are feeling. And honestly, it was really refreshing. This movie also has a pretty solid villain, because the MCU is notorious for having, throwaway villains, nothing about them really standing out. There's one and done, you forget about them by the next movie. But Tony Leung as Wenwu, or the Mandarin as comic book fans know him, I think he breaks out of that mold. Wenwu is Shang-Chi's father, and he has these magical 10-ring bracelet things that give him immortality and all these superpowers. And when we meet his character, he's grieving over the death of his murdered wife. This movie gives Wenwu a lot more depth than you see given to other villains in previous Marvel films. Because in this movie, he starts off as this cruel tyrant, but then he becomes a loving husband and loving father. But then he relapses hard and he becomes a broken man that will do anything to get the love of his life back. Like, I felt it in my heart. I was able to connect with his character, and that officially puts him on my list of MCU villains that I actually care about, and that makes the number 4. My first issue with this movie, though, is that it really slows down in the middle. Because the beginning was great, and the end was great. But that middle part was so slow. It was just full of exposition, which was fine. There has to be some exposition, especially in a movie like this. But it just took a long time for the movie to pick back up again. I think if they would have added just one more martial arts scene in that middle section, it would have made it a lot easier to get through. And my other issue was that the CGI in this movie, particularly at the end of the movie, was not the best. Because as cool as the finale was, it's just the CGI could not handle the level of craziness that was going on. You had mystical creatures, magic, fighting. It felt like the animators were getting overwhelmed, and it made parts of it look like how my wife described it, a 90s movie. And I was like, ooh. This was another solid addition to the MCU movie vault, and honestly one of my favorite origin movies in the franchise. I'm really excited to see what they do with Shang-Chi in future installments, because those end credit scenes, man. Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings is a fun ride that leaves you excited for more. Like a roller coaster. Thanks for watching. Click right here to watch more reviews. And to see new reviews, click right here to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss anything.